Assalamualaikum and very good morning I wish to all of you. As we all know, nowadays, social media is very important to us, especially when it comes to open and distant learning, which is also known as ODL, and also work from home. Social media, in fact, since years very impactful to us that it is one of the basic necessities in our daily life. Social media refers to a computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through virtual networks and communities. It gives users quick electronic communication of content such as personal information, documents, videos, and photos. It is clear that social media has been very influential in our daily life. However, as the saying goes, glitter is not always gold. Social media has its downside too, which raises a debate between people whether it is actually good or not. So today, we will highlight the topic that is quite interesting to be discussed, which is social media helping us to connect or contributing to loneliness? I am very sure every one of us here and also the audiences have our own opinion about this topic. But first of all, I would like to introduce our panelists today. Our first panelist is Mrs. Nur Amirah, the Minister of Communication and Multimedia. How are you today, Mrs.?
I am feeling great today.
Next to her, our very beautiful panel two for today, Professor Dr. Irdina Sofia from University of Malaya. And also, we have our senior lecturer from University of Science Malaysia as the third panel, Dr. Husina Suraya. Education Officer, Mrs. Nabila as our fourth panel, and the last but not least, Mrs. Ira, the principal as our last panel for our forum today. Thank you all the panels for joining this forum discussion today. Without further ado, I would like to call on Mrs. Amirah to answer the first question. Our topic today is about social media, which we can see nowadays. There are people who say that social media has its pros. Some say social media has its cons. As the Minister of Communication and Multimedia, can you explain how social media can connect people and what is the benefit they can get from it?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Izzatul. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to all the panelists and the audience. Social media can help people gain social support from their friends, peers and broader social networks. As we all know, in modernization, there is many social media platforms that we can use and social media can contribute to the transition of social support, particularly given that younger generation use social media on a daily basis. Social support can help people through the stress of tough time, whether they had a bad day at work or a year filled with loss or chronic illness. And the lack of social support can lead to isolation and loneliness. According to Pew Research Center, girls are more likely to report receiving such support on social media, with nearly 3/4, 73% of girls garnering support, compared with 63% of social media using boys. In addition, me as a woman know that sometimes we can feel insecure for not being pretty and need someone to encourage us. Moreover, people usually use Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as a platform to find social support from others by someone who listens to and encourages them. For example, hashtag Darurat Banjir was at a press time the top trending hashtag on Twitter, with the social media users applying it to call for help as well as send words of encouragement to flood victims. With the help of social media, a lot of victims saved from hunger and depression as netizens give donation and support through social media. As we can see here, social media can connect people as they give each other advice and support in many ways.
Thank you, Mrs. Amirah, for the explanation. From your point just now, you strongly agree that social media can help the folks connect the world, especially in a tough time. However, I have another question for you. What do you think about the relationship between social media and a business?
Social media helps build a powerful relationship with customer and clients. According to Nandita Kaushal, social media for business purposes helps form alliance with prospective partner and help firms communicate with their vision and goals successfully to the outside world. For any organization, profitability revolves around its customer base and clients. Hence, social media can help businesses to communicate with their consumer so that they can persuade them to try out their goods and services. Social media also can help to engage your online audience with discussion, free advice, and opinion like asking what they like and dislike about the product, so that you can make improvement the product and hope that it will satisfy the customer needs. There is many major brands such as Reebok, Microsoft, Wendy's, and many more are taking advantage of social media to interact with their customer on a regular basis. These businesses engage. These businesses understand that engaging customers and communicating with them is essential, and social media is an ideal place to do this. For example, based on Mark Pentecost, Make Announcement Live can leverage social media such as Facebook and Instagram that have live feature through which you can broadcast corporate announcements to the public. This can make your follower excited about the newest market you're launching or a new product. In addition, the social media also give freelancer opportunities to let their client know they exist, but also to help them to connect with professionals and get expert tips and advice to develop their performance. Therefore, social media can improve your business relationship and keep your company running properly. That's all. I pass back to our moderator. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mrs. Amira, for the response. It is good to know that social media can help not only mere citizens, but also businesses in the world to connect to people. Let's move on to Professor Dr. Irina Sofia. What is your point of view? Do you agree with Mrs. Amira?
Alright, thank you, Miss Moderator. So based on topic today, I must say that social media is contributing to loneliness. Therefore, I absolutely disagree with Mrs. Amira. Based on my reading about this topic, there is a survey sponsored by the Cigna Health Insurance Company. 46% of respondents reported feeling sometimes or always alone. And how big of a role does social media play on these high loneliness figures? It depends on how someone interacts with social media. Studies suggest that using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and any similar social media apps could bring vitality in your life. But if you're spending way too much, like spending hours of your day, it could worsen the feelings of loneliness. Why? These people, they make use of social media as a substitute for a real-life connection. It blocks them to communicate with other people physically. Based on Sherry Amatensty, a licensed clinical social worker, she states that frequently viewing snapshots of other people's lives might leave social media users feeling as if everyone has a better life, smarter, funnier, more interesting, and has more friends and so on. The impulse to believe this unjustified belief can be even stronger for someone with a low self-esteem. The online world might begin to feel like a minefield of potential triggers when they think everything matters. They tend to obsessively check if someone has liked their post or wished them a happy birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, these feelings of envy, inadequacy, and less satisfaction are very unhealthy. Studies even suggested that it can lead to something worse such as depression, anxiety, ADHD symptoms, and sleep deprivation. So that is why I strongly disagree with the idea of social media is helping us to connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. That was a great point to be said. As you strongly agree with social media contributing to loneliness, do you think it could affect children? Can social media lead to feeling lonely?
Alright, thank you, Mrs. Dato, for your question. My answer is definitely yes. In this 21st century, most of teenagers and children have their own smartphone and have access to internet. According to UNICEF study, which is Our Life Online, use of social media by children and adolescents in East Asia, children internet usage in Malaysia is on rise. It reveals that 92% of children aged 5 to 17 are internet users. 91.8% of these children access the internet using a smartphone, and 92% of students aged 30 to 70 have social media accounts. On top of that, 1 in 3 internet users are children, and over 175,000 children go online for the first time every day. UNICEF also stated that many government, sociologists, and psychologists have also expressed concern that children today are spending way too much time interacting with their phones and missing out on other important social experiences. In another report from Childline, they reported that a rising number of children are contacting them about feeling of isolation and loneliness. Chatline also revealed that an SPCC conducted 4,636 counseling sessions for loneliness in year of 2017 and 2018. It has increased by 40% on the year before. Not only that, the new report also reveals that nearly 80% of these counseling sessions went to girls, with many claiming that the harmful effect of social media and comparing themselves to others online made them feel more isolated. It is very heartbreaking to know that the majority of those who reached out for help were teenagers, and the saddest part to note is the youngest person to call them with an issue was just a 10 years old kid. For that reason, I believe social media could contribute to loneliness not only for adults but also to children. So, Mrs. Atul, allow me to ask you a question. As an influencer in social media, what is your opinion about this topic? Is there any personal observation you want to share with us today?
First of all, thank you, Professor Dr. Irdina Sofia, for your answer that has successfully clarified that social media can in fact contribute to loneliness. Well, this is what a forum discussion is for, which is to explain to the public what has been statistically found about social media. To answer the question that as the workplace, I can totally agree that social media is in fact both has its own strength and also its flaw. From my personal observation, I've been experiencing both sides. Nevertheless, I have made a lot of friends through social media, even someone from overseas. They have helped me in many ways in terms of social media guidelines, encouragement, etc. I really enjoy them as a friend. Though I have never met them in real life, we still can connect every day by texting each other. Other than my personal observation, I have encountered an article that says social media plays a critical role in connecting teens to new friends, allowing teens to learn more about new friends and get to know them better. There is also a statistic where nearly 2/3 teens who have made a new friend online say that they have met new friends on the social media platform. This is getting really interesting when it shows that more than 83% social media using teens say social media makes them more connected to information about what is happening in their friends' lives. And 70% say these social platforms better connect them to their friends' feeling. This shows almost everyone out there is using social media as a platform to connect to people, which we can take that as an advantage of social media.
Alright, thank you, Mrs. Zato, for the very great answer.
No problem, Prof. Now, I would like to ask the next question to our third panel, Dr. Husnina Suraya. What is your opinion about how social media can reduce loneliness of older adults who are socially isolated, and how social media helps older adults to stay in contact with others?
Alright, thank you, Ms. Isato, for the question. In my opinion, social media use allows older adults to stay in contact with others and communicate with their social ties. This is because information and communication technology (ICT) use may help improve socio-emotional outcomes by helping older adults overcome time and distance to create or maintain social relationships, thereby decreasing social isolation and loneliness. Besides, social media can also reduce the effect of geographic distance for older adults with dispersed families, increasingly using the internet as the primary conduct through which they sustain generational bonds. In addition, based on the articles, social networking site SNS use is one internet application that has grown rapidly among older adults in the past few years, with just over one-third of internet users being active on SNS. Half of individuals aged 65 and older use the internet. 70% of users reporting going online on a usual day. This shows that social media are important to us in order to stay connected with others. Older adults often keep in touch with family members through social media because it is more effective and faster than phone communication or in person. Hence, social media helps to maintain social contact with social network ties. They frequently report doing so to keep connection with family members and friendship networks. The relationship between social media and loneliness was mediated by perceived social support and social contact. Thus, social media communication can help reduce the levels of loneliness among older adults.
Wow, that was a very great point to be mentioned. However, Dr. Husnina, are there any cons of social media that you want to highlight?
The cons of social media that I want to highlight is social media is the ideal platform for health communication and promotion of mental health awareness. As social media platforms are gradually developing as a rich source of mass communication, the idea of expanding mental health awareness with the help of social media can be a good capability to reach out to a larger number of people in a short time frame. Internet-based social networking services such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram in particular offer easy and cost-effective access, also empowering individuals in their healthcare-related decisions. For instance, one study found that social media platforms were used to obtain information about health and wellness by 34% of online health information seekers. Most research exploring the effectiveness of mass media health campaigns has focused on television, radio, and print media. Research now shows that some online communications media, such as social media platforms, are more effective. Moreover, social media enables people to connect more, so more health information could be exchanged. Social media needs the most when the current global COVID-19 pandemic has affected individuals from all age groups, across genders and ethnics. This is a quick way to provide essential messaging to the public in times of crisis. Social media can promote and provide invaluable social and emotional support, thereby reducing stigma, disseminate important mental health information to targeted communities, and spread word in areas where mental health outreach in the community is lacking. Last but not least, this offers opportunities to understand why public awareness and provide reliable information access regarding health communication and mental health awareness, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, social media platforms play a major role in mental health promotion as well as for health communication. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Husnina, for the answer. From your explanation just now, we can clearly see that social media can both connect us to people and also contribute to loneliness. So now our fourth panel, Mrs. Nabila, as someone that has been in the industry for so long, do you think that older people are relevant to stay active in social media?
Thank you, moderator, for the question. I would say it is not relevant for older people to stay active in social media. My point is a bit to disagree with the statement of Dr. Husnina regarding social media helps older people to maintain social contact with social network ties and reduce loneliness of older adults who are socially isolated. I understand your concern that older people also can be socially, but in Malaysia, older people experience higher rates of loneliness and social isolation because they often lost contact with their social network because of retirement, live in independent living communities, and communication becomes difficult to maintain due to time or distance. This loss of contact is often associated with declines in social-emotional outcomes, such as the feelings of social isolation and increased loneliness. Furthermore, older people usually lack knowledge on technology. They do not know how it is operating, although their children or young people have taught them. For instance, there is an interview with Malay male that says Shin Lam, who is 67 years old, is far familiar with social media platforms such as Facebook and WhatsApp because the elderly are not fully equipped to conduct their life online, unlike today's generation. This view leads to the elderly left alone due to their children being busy updating social media and forgetting how to be social through face-to-face, especially after COVID-19 hit. An analysis showed that decreased level of physical health, accompanying a lower socioeconomic status, and residing in a nursing facility were also risk factors for loneliness among this population. Recent research by researchers at University of Alabama showing that loneliness among the older adult population has a higher chance of fulfilling the criteria for metabolic syndrome and an increased risk of death. To sum up, older people are not relevant to stay active on social media because they tend to have a loneliness from social media due to lack of knowledge on technology and not supporting surroundings. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, Mrs. Nabila, for the amazing answers. I have another question for you, Mrs. Nabila. As an education officer, are there any cases of loneliness among teenagers?
Yes, I encounter it a lot. Loneliness is one of the main causes of depression, suicide, pressure, poor sleep, and social anxiety. According to Center of Disease Control and Prevention, the national average of weekly visits for suspected suicide attempts among people aged 12 to 17 jumped nearly 40% in February and March compared to 2 years before. And according to the World Health Organization, more than 700,000 people die by suicide every year. Furthermore, for each suicide, there are more than 20 suicide attempts. Nowadays, social media has become important, including teenagers. They have courage and are eager to know how it works. They are still young and do not know how to isolate the good and bad things. In this era, influencers are rising rapidly that makes teenagers idolize them. It causes low self-esteem. In 2019 study of 118 young people showed that frequent social media users were more likely to feel unsatisfied by their appearance and to consider plastic surgery. This situation could give a negative impact on identity development, where an investigation made of 400 adolescents' gender and sexual online self-presentations and found that over 40% of males and females posted pictures in which they are dressing improperly. There is the possibility that these photos will draw the attention of intended audience. Imagine if it is used for the wrong purposes. For sure, the teenagers will shame and lead to loneliness and depression. Based on research from researchers from University Malaysia Sabah show that loneliness is the factor that contributes to online social networking. The findings show that 60.51% of the loneliness factor contributes to online social networking with the average 2.44 and standard deviation 1.11. Social anxiety is direct result of their reduced social skills in offline situations. The studies also found that when students were more likely to report using online communication for the purpose of exploring different aspects of their identity, they also were less likely to have sense of self-concept clarity due to low friendship quality. Hence, social media is giving negative impact to teenagers. They are easily influenced by any trends in social media. It will lead to low self-esteem and sooner they will become loneliness due to it. That's all from my point of view. Thank you.
Wow, I'm really afraid to hear that there is a lot of data and statistics that show how bad the impact social media can actually have on teenagers. Now, a question to our last panel, Mrs. Ira. Can you explain different ways to use social media for education and the benefits of it?
Thank you, Mrs. Zatu. Actually, there are many different ways to use social media for education. Social media has various uses in the classroom as well as to help market and promote schools and universities. Because we believe in the power of social media to make nearly everything easier, even live in the classroom. There is also many benefits of social media in education. Social media and technology are an integral part of daily life, and integrating the use of this into the classroom is more natural than before. Given how acclimated many students are today, each social media platform offers many different ways to be used in the classroom, from sharing announcements to holding live lectures, and so much more. Let's talk about the different ways that social media can be used directly in the classroom. There are many social media tools for education that can be taken advantage for students of any age, from elementary all the way through college. For example, we can use a Google Classroom to broadcast updates and alerts. Google Classroom can be the perfect social media platform to incorporate into the classroom. Instead of putting instruction and student alike through a new learning curve when dealing with a traditional online classroom dashboard, stick to something everyone already knows. Have students follow the class Google Classroom and the instructor can use it to post class updates, share homework assignment, and encourage discussion. Also, the other ways is use Google Classroom to stream live lecture and host discussion. Create a class blog for discussion and assign blog posts as essays.
Thank you, Mrs. Ira, for the response. Now, I would like to ask another question for you. Mrs. Ira, as a principal, do you have any idea on how social media can be used for education marketing?
But just as there were many ways to use social media in the classroom, there are also many uses for social media in education marketing. Social media marketing can help if you are looking to reach a larger audience for your school or university. For example, you can include social media links on your school website to make it easy for parents and students to find your school's social media profiles by adding links to the website main navigation or creating a social media directory that houses them all in one place. Many parents and prospective students will check a school's website first if they are interested, and offering even more ways to follow the school creates a different insight into campus life. Also, share school events and photos if you want to attract a new student and parents to your school. Share photos and events around campus to showcase what they could expect. Highlighting events and extracurriculars can make your school stand out from the rest. While school and university websites tend to follow the same mold, social media allows you to be more unique and casual. Therefore, we can also create a social media crisis strategy. How could you communicate to the entire campus during an emergency, whether it's a fire, tornado, or other immediate campus emergency? Determine how your school will incorporate social media into their crisis communication plan. Keep parents and students updated on the situation by sharing information about the crisis and if authorities are involved. Many campuses have automated messaging alerts set up by using social media will keep even more people updated and informed. That's all for me. But Mrs. Atul, you mentioned just now how social media has helped you make friends and can connect you guys every day just by using social media such as Instagram. However, you also mentioned that social media has its own disadvantages. What is your opinion about the downside of it? Would you mind sharing with us?
Thanks a lot, Mrs. Ira. It was really an impressive answer from our last panel, suitable with our topic for today. To answer your question, as someone who uses social media almost every hour, I would like to say that social media indeed can affect me immediately, emotionally. As mentioned by Mrs. Amira just now, I've been encountering a lot of insecurity, self-hatred, and other similar feelings. Someone who uses social media tends to compare themselves with others. This is as if social media has set the standard everyone should achieve. I actually have done some research regarding our topic today. I found a very interesting article that says why Instagram is the worst social media for mental health. In this article, it talks about the hashtag Status of Mind survey, which includes 1,479 young people across European countries. The respondents have answered questions about how different social media platforms impacted 14 different issues related to their mental health and physical health, including loneliness. There is also a respondent who answered how Instagram can easily make girls and women feel as if their bodies are not good enough as people add filters and edits in their photos. Other than that, one respondent also mentioned that seeing their friends constantly on holidays or enjoying nights out can make young people feel like they are missing out while others can enjoy life. Hence, it can make them feel lonely. This is very worrying because people are losing themselves in social media by comparing themselves to others in any possible ways that can lead to mental health problems as well as contributing to loneliness.
Thank you, Mrs. Atul, for the great answer.
Sure, Mrs. Ira. Actually, there are lots more questions and answers that I want to share with you guys, but there were too many, so I made my decision to write only this and also the forum's closure. As a conclusion, we can see how social media has a lot of impact on people, both its bright side and the downside. Many points have been raised from our panelists today. At the end of the day, it is all up to us on how we use social media. As the saying goes, look before you leap. Be wise in using social media and prioritize yourself in any way. That's all for today. I will end our forum discussion with a million thanks to all our panelists and audiences. Thank you.